Hello, everyone. My name is Gus.
Hi, I'm Woody.
And we have Terry again this week as a guest.
This time I'm going to try to get it right. Scuba Girls International. It's
Yes,
just
sir.
that
You got it.
simple.
It's that simple.
Got
Yep.
it. Sometimes I add other words to it.
Yeah, you do, but it's okay.
Okay.
She's here to react with us. This week we have, I don't want to say a recurrent guest, but we've reacted to several of Mr. Ballin's videos. Mr. B. Allen. Mr. Ballin, Mr. B. Allen. We can call him whatever.
He's pretty
John.
epic.
John.
Which one is the one that gets the most arguments? The Mr. B, if you say Mr. B. Allen, they
Which is the
destroy
right
you.
way. Yeah.
Of course, he says that really is the right way.
Of course. But anyway, we have a story here. I haven't seen it, but it's one of the people went you shouldn't have gone, but they went anyway. Serious. The link is below in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. We're only reacting to 1 out of 3 stories. So the entire video, of course, Mr. Ballin always does an amazing job storytelling. The 3 stories are great. We're only reacting to story number 2,
Okay.
which is about scuba diving. So let's watch.
Around 5 p.m. on Sunday, August 15th, 1971, a
71.
23-year-old man named Michael was sitting inside of his living room in rural Ontario, Canada.
We're like
Michael
in your
was flipping through a
50s back
photo
then.
album.
Yeah.
When he says 1971, you know what I think in my mind? Oh, not that long ago.
Right?
That showed pictures of him scuba diving and mountain biking and doing all these really high adrenaline
this guy is you.
activities because Michael
Look at it. This
Seriously.
guy's you. Mountain biking.
I loved it all.
Climbing, scuba diving in bad trim, climbing. He's doing everything you do. That's great.
Thank you.
really lived for adventure. And so as he's flipping through this album, he hears a knock on the door.
Oh,
So he stops what he's doing, he goes to the door, he opens it up, and there's this
Mormons.
police officer who's totally frantic and is speaking a mile a minute, and he tells Michael, hey, so we had this guy who was swimming in a lake nearby, and he went missing. He's been gone for over an hour now. We don't know where he is, and we were asking around, does anybody have any scuba diving equipment or experience, because we need to get in there and look for this guy in the lake, and everybody said, you're the guy. You have scuba equipment, and maybe you might be able to lend it to us so that, the police
Now-
could go in there and look for this guy.
71. How advanced was scuba in 71? No
I mean,
BCDs, right?
Well,
Back
they
then.
were. They were. It was like a beast. I mean, I remember it was literally. I think it was actually a Mares that I had, and it's
In
not a
71?
it's not a BC. There's no integrated weights, and it's like it held tank, but it also had like a J valve. So didn't have dive computers. So we were like,
You're
we'll
diving
go to
the
this
tables.
depth for this long, and you're looking at your watch. Okay, I've been at this depth for that long, and we would write down, 50 feet I've been at for 10 minutes, and then you would like come up and track it like that. It was crazy.
Jeez.
And then you would get
So I thought back then they had like the tanks with straps, but like no BCD whatsoever.
No. It was
Wow.
it was a limited form. It almost looked like the inner tube type BCs that we have now. Very minimal, no integrated weights.
Interesting.
I remember when integrated weights came out, and everybody was like,
Mind blown.
"No more weight belts! This is unbelievable."
But
I
he wasn't,
remember that.
and it wasn't the typical response in the dive community, which is anything new comes out is the worst thing ever,
No,
and then people adopt
automatically.
that anyway.
People didn't chop it back down back then. It wasn't like that. It was very cool and welcoming and like adventurous. People weren't.
Interesting.
They didn't even focus that much on. I mean, everybody was overweighted. I'm not saying it was good, but this is just
Walking
the way
on
it
the
was.
bottom.
There was a lot of scuba walking, to be honest. Terrible.
Now, Michael was kind of caught off guard by all this. I mean, this was not a typical occurrence to have police show up and have this type of request, but Michael immediately felt this sense of responsibility. He did know that he was sort of the top dog in scuba diving in rural Ontario, Canada, and he's hearing this police officer say what he's saying, but he's thinking, even if I give you my equipment, you can't just put the stuff on and safely conduct dives.
Okay,
You need the
question.
training as much as you need the equipment.
Yeah.
If the police came and knocked on your door and said, "We need your help," would you go?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but
Would you feel
what kind
obligated?
of like scuba help?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like you, we know you have gear. We know you're the dive talk guys. Would you go help them?
Yes.
Of course.
But my reaction was more about the way Gus just now said to you when you wanted to make a comment. Yeah.
No, but she said,
If
I have
you
a question.
If you rewind that,
She said, I have a question.
I want
I said,
everybody
yes.
to. You.
What?
Yeah, yes would be a
Nothing
nice way to
new.
say it.
That's
But
what I
you
said.
said. Yeah.
By the way, funny that you
Just
asked.
say, yeah. Oh, wait, Terry has a
Funny
comment.
that you.
She's our guest.
Funny that
We
Terry
wanna
brought
hear
this up.
Her opinion.
She said, if somebody asked for your help, would you go? Somebody asked for her help to go and help with the victims in Texas, which
yeah.
was horrible. The
Flooding.
whatever, the flooding that came and killed all those girls at that camp.
Yep.
And they put out a call for people, divers who come and help. And we volunteer. I said, I'll bring the van and we'll come and help.
Yeah.
Luckily, they found people in Texas, local in Texas. There's a ton of amazing divers in Texas. Like, they don't need us for our skills. So at the end, they sent us a message and said, you guys, thank you. Please be on standby. But right now, I think we got it. And I'm glad people volunteer in Texas to go and do it. But we did. So when they came knocking, we say yes, even though they didn't need us, which, again, is one of those things. We talked about this on a show before, which is if somebody comes and asks, would you go and recover a body? I would do it, but I hope it never happens. Kind of like CPR. I hope I never have to do it for real.
With all of the volunteers that I'm certain that they, had people raise their hands for, I really hope that they vetted their experience before accepting their service. Just in an open water, inexperienced diver in those types of conditions, let alone body recovery, are very liable to panic in no-viz situations.
Yeah, it was amazing to see. And even rescuers from Mexico came to Texas to help, which I thought it was cool.
And so
That's
Michael
amazing.
just kind of instinctively said, hey, look, I'm not just going to give you the equipment because I feel like I'm setting you up for failure here.
Yeah.
What if I come with you? I'll put the equipment on and I'll go look for this guy. I know what I'm doing. I know how to use the equipment. It'll be way safer and more efficient. And the cop said, thank you so much. That would be great. Let's go. And so Kyle, he went and got his scuba equipment, and before long, he had thrown it in the police cruiser, and the two of them were flying towards the lake. About 30 minutes later, Michael and the police officer pull into this parking lot, this wooded lot with trees everywhere, and straight ahead of them, through the trees, they can see down below is this big lake. And then to the left of the lake is a big dam, and then beyond that, over to the left side of that, is a river. And so where the swimmer had gone missing was in the lake portion. And so Michael quickly hopped out of the car, he grabbed his scuba gear, and then he and the officer took off running through the trees down to the lake. And when they got down there, Michael scanned the area and he saw there were all these police officers and park employees. There were other people who clearly had just come to the lake that day, like tourists, and everybody's kind of scanning the lake. No one's really in the water, but everyone's sort of walking around the perimeters, like hoping they can just see this missing swimmer somewhere. And also Michael noticed clearly the family of this missing man was, off to the side, and many of them were crying. But it definitely seemed like no serious search effort had really happened yet. It's like everybody was just kind of waiting for something to happen. And so when Michael shows up with all his scuba gear, it was like everybody looked at him as like, oh my goodness, thank you. Like, get in there, find him. Like, I bet he's okay. Like, get out there.
I bet he's okay.
There is training, and there is a classes for search and recovery, right? You don't just go randomly go out and start looking around. There's a
71, though. They had rescue classes, you think, in 71?
So I'm saying now.
No, now there are,
Now,
yeah.
so there's this is developed into real training, real
True.
systematic planning. We would have a team.
Public
What
safety.
patterns are you going to use,
Yep.
and who's going to use which tools in those patterns. So there's classes for this. Even at the recreational dive level, I'm
Yep.
saying there are specialties. You don't have to necessarily be part of the public safety that you were just
Yep.
mentioning.
But what I'm saying is, some of those classes came about because of situations like
Absolutely.
this,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Where they did it without having a class. But I thought it was interesting the comment he made that the family's like, oh, he's okay. The guy has been underwater for an
How
hour.
long?
Like,
No.
I
Yeah, or probably just hoping, willing it or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And Michael, he's thinking to himself that he hadn't done a search like this before, but The fact somebody was missing for that long already did not bode well.
Yeah.
But he thought, you know what? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to give it my best shot, and I hope we find this guy still alive. And so Michael put on all his equipment right on the shore side, and everyone's waiting, kind of watching, anxious about what's going to happen next. And once he had donned his equipment, Michael stood up and just began scanning the lake, looking for, any sign of
There it
where
is.
to begin the search.
That's
because
not a
it's
real
just
photo of
one
Michael,
man
but-
in this huge body of water. He needs sort of a starting point. And so it's
that how-
quiet. Everyone's just kind of watching
think that
Michael
was
as
real.
Michael's looking around the lake. And then at some point, he looked out
said
and
real
he saw
photo.
there was this little ripple, sort of right.
No, I said not a real photo, but I'm just saying I don't
Said
think
not real photo. I
it
missed
said
that.
not.
Okay.
I don't think that's the equipment that this guy was using. He
It
had
just
like
said
a
it was
tiny-
not a photo of Michael.
And I also don't remember, at least when I was diving, a little tank in the front hanging down.
Yeah, yeah,
I
no,
think
that
he had
looked like a
little mini
old school
rebreather
rebreather
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, most people don't know, but rebreathers are older than open circuit.
No, definitely.
Right in the middle of the lake. Now, the surface of the lake had basically been glass-like because nobody was really in the water, save for like the very perimeter of the lake. And so the water was very calm, but he sees there's this little ripple sort of right in the middle. And so Michael points out the ripple to the other officer he was with and sort of anybody who could listen. And he said, okay, I'm going to go in there and start searching right there. And so Michael
Very
goes
smart.
into the water, kind of wades in till about his waist, and then he kind of looked around one more time, put on his mask, and went under the water. About 15 minutes later, the police officer who had originally gone and gotten Michael and driven with him to the lake, he was still just standing on the lake shore, along with the missing swimmer's family and other searchers, and pretty much everybody was just kind of waiting for Michael to give some sort of report about how the search was going. Now, Michael easily had enough air in his tanks to be out there for quite some time to do a pretty thorough search, and they're only 15 minutes in, so they don't really know if this is too early to expect feedback from Michael, but it's just tense. Everybody's just waiting, waiting to see what's going to happen. But at some point, as this officer is just standing there, one of the volunteer searchers comes bombing along the shore from up near the dam. They ran right down to this officer and said, hey, you got to come with me. We found something over there in the river. And so, at this point, the police officer is thinking, I bet they found the missing swimmer. They're probably not in this lake. Maybe they found them over in the river.
Now,
Interesting.
so put yourself in a situation of this police officer where you're standing at the edge of the water, right? And 15 minutes are going by and you're just watching there. Wouldn't you be watching for bubbles? Like, oh, there's bubbles, there's where the guy is, and like follow the bubbles, right? Because this guy wasn't on a rebreather, I assume. So you're watching for bubbles, and then at some point the bubbles stop. So, all right, let's continue the story. So you see what I mean by where are the bubbles?
And he's thinking the worst, right? So he runs with the searcher, he goes to the dam, he goes to the riverside on the other side of the dam, and there's this crowd of searchers and police that are all along the shore of the river. And so this police officer, he pushes through the crowd, expecting, frankly, at this point, to see a dead body, to see the missing swimmer. But when he parts the crowd and sees what they're all looking at, he realizes there has been a terrible mistake. So 2 hours earlier, when this missing swimmer first went missing, this is like before Michael was ever contacted, before he was out there searching for him. This is like the initial wave of panic that we have a person who is missing somewhere in this water. Well, a park employee had been really motivated to try to help with this search. And so without really telling anybody, they ran into the control room of the dam, and in there, they turned a valve. And this particular valve opened up a pipe that spanned from the lake back through to the river. And when this valve was turned and the pipe was opened up, water from the lake would go back into the river, basically draining the lake. This employee was thinking, if I drain the lake, it'll make it easier to search the lake where we believe this man has gone missing. Like, this will make it easier to search the lake.
And there goes Michael.
Yes.
I-
the power of that is just unbelievable too.
Yeah.
I know people think I have a PhD in lakes. I don't. But what I'm saying is, wouldn't you think that it takes a long time to drain a lake with a pipe?
I mean,
Take a month.
I mean, depending on how big the lake is, right?
he had good intentions, but the power of that. Remember when you and I one time went looking? I think it was in a lake. We were asked to go find an object.
I'm going to let
Do you
because I
remember
don't
this?
think
And they,
because
and
I don't
we
think.
were-
Hold on,
and we
don't
were-
spoil
and
it.
we
Don't
were-
spoil it. Don't
and
spoil
we were
it.
warned that maybe Be careful because do you remember that?
Because
That's how
don't spoil
strong
it
that could
because
be.
at the end of this video I'm gonna tell people about that video if they
Is
haven't
that what
seen
you're
it.
thinking? The same one?
Yes. It's the same one. But what I'm saying is, if you're an employee, I know it's 71. Okay, so it's 50
Not
years
that
ago.
long ago.
54 years ago. I get it. But wouldn't you think that, man, if I open this pipe, it's probably gonna take a few weeks, and it's heavily dangerous if I do it.
Well,
I mean, you don't have to have a
We
PhD in water and lakes to figure this out. I don't, and I figure it out. I know.
wait,
people-
you don't have one of this?
I know people
in,
think
in hydro lake draining?
they thought, but I don't. I'm just being transparent. I don't.
There's good programs for that, though. I
Yeah.
thought you would have attended one in Venezuela.
All right.
So this pipe has been opened up, this 2-foot in diameter, 30-foot long pipe connecting river and lake. And it's sucking water like mad from the lake into that river. Nobody had really gone into the lake to look for this missing swimmer, believe it or not. So the lake really hadn't been touched as soon as this valve was turned. So the first person who went into the lake, once that was opened up, was Michael with the scuba gear on. And when he went into the water and actually flagged the ripple on the surface of the water,
They'd already
he didn't
opened
realize this, but that ripple represented this deadly undercurrent of all the water being sucked into this pipe. And so as soon as he went out and went under the water, the current pulled him so quickly and so hard that he
really
couldn't
strong.
resurface. All his equipment got yanked off his body and he was thrust into this pipe. And in the pipe, he
Yikes.
got stuck.
Yeah.
And he drowned inside of the pipe before eventually being forced out the other end where his body spilled out onto the shore of the river. That's what everybody was crowded around once they got up to the riverside. Michael's dead body. 4 hours after Michael's body was found, they would find the missing swimmer. His body was located about 150 yards away from where Michael had first entered the lake. His body was found on the shore of the lake.
man.
And so Michael had sort of been close, but unfortunately that current had pulled him under and killed him. Today, the lake has been permanently drained, in part because of this tragedy.
Wow.
Yeah, terrible.
Really bad. It's really sad.
You know, someone trying to help and paid with his life for it. Yeah.
And the thing about it is when he opened that, it's not minor. You're just like sucked in like a strong magnet. It's just
There's
like
nothing you can do.
you're like what? You're done. I mean, you got no shot
Yeah,
of dealing with that.
We've covered this a couple of times in the channel. This situation is called Delta P. And you probably knew that already because of everyone who jumps on the comments to say, this is Delta P, Delta P. There'll be hundreds of comments of people saying that. But Delta P, if you want to research it, is the situation it's for the difference in pressure between one body of water and another. It causes this suction that is insane.
I never heard you talk that smart as what you just said in that sentence.
Think
That's
people-
a compliment.
People think I have a PhD on Delta P,
but
I
that
don't.
was a compliment. You have to admit what I just said to him.
One of the videos that we cover this on was one where there were people cleaning the hull of a boat. They were from the Navy, or no, they were doing a inspection of the hull, and there was something open in the hull that sucked them up, and it was terrible. I'm going to link it up here if you haven't seen that one. But then there's the other video in which you and I went looking for a pipe that was open, and everyone was like, you morons are going to get killed. And we looked for that pipe, and maybe we found it. But what I'll tell you is we did not get killed. Believe it or not. Here we are still.
Spoiler alert, you're still here.
I remember.
So
that's
weird.
all I'll say is every branch that we touched, I'm like, this could be the last thing I touch because it's
Correct.
probably the pipe.
And I was just thinking, it's like, how much will this tank last if we get sucked in? Because it was pretty shallow, this lake that we were looking at, and I'm like, I reckon we'll have like 45 minutes for them to figure a solution while we get sucked in by this pipe.
And you mean the fact that there was nobody there whatsoever on the shore with scuba gear that would have any ability to save us?
Or even phone signal to call anyone who
We're
could
pretty
potentially
good.
help.
We're good with safety like that.
Well, we talked to our safety team, just like the guy last week.
You pulled out more mud than a pipe, though, didn't you?
Well,
That's okay.
you'll see.
I'm going to leave it right here so you can check it out. Us looking for pipes. That was another adventure you dragged me into.
You guys
But,
have some crazy adventures, that's for sure.
It was great.
I mean,
And by great, I mean I almost died.
well, almost is the key. That's why I really didn't, I never quite get you past almost. So with that, you should say, once again, thank you.
We'll see you all next week.
Bye.